today, someone said to me, "Let's go, Noah."
Your mom?
I don't know. Yes, my mom said. And your mom too.
You know what your mom said to me?
But
Be able to finish the kill. Here comes Yike though. Gonna see if he can try and stop him before he resets. Should have the pillar. Lane, there it is! Oh, that's the combo, baby! Q flash E.
Just landed not as good as electricity.
Oh no! Oh no!
Caps is unstoppable.
There we go. I think it flew under the radar, but Noah saying your mom too there was actually kind of savage. Welcome back. G2 wins the first game in this best of 5 versus Fnatic. It's going the way a lot of the people that we asked, and well, not the animals, but the people that we asked predicted. I would also like to welcome Perks to the desk. Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Why are you late? It's fine, you don't need to talk about it. Let's talk about this match. It was, or this game rather, super convincing. And Perks, we were watching the early game and you said it's all about the jungle support synergy and the fact that the jungle support for G2 are just doing so much more work than Fnatic.
Yeah, G2 drafted stronger bot lane and top lane, and they got so much pressure from those lanes, and in mid lane they're outscaling them, so they use a lot of pressure they got into the mid lane so that Caps can go even in lane and just giga outscale the Lucian, basically. Yeah.
What about the drafts though? Because, I mean, pretty crazy drafts to go into game 1. This is what I think is really fun about best of 5s, right? Oda, but what caught you off guard the most?
I didn't really expect the Jace over there to come out because I was thinking that maybe they want a little bit more frontline, more facilitators for the brand Ezreal MF. But at the same time, they did it last week with when they picked Jace Seraphine, so it was all over the place. It caught me a little bit off guard. It was very surprising, but they did adapt very well in the game because it really looked like there was a lot of harmony and team cohesion between all the picks, even though it is quite hard to execute.
We had a lot to say about the brand as well, Perks, right? You were saying, I don't get why teams aren't just picking it.
I mean, yeah, to me, from watching these games and some games in Asia, like, the brand just looks very OP, like, as a viewer, you know, and as a player. To me, he just offers so much in skirmishes, from team fights. His ult with Rylai's Leandri will just, like, take half of the HP of your team, and he has, like, it's basically a long-range engage. At the most you're gonna get, right? And also, I just think his 2v2 is very strong, and yeah, I don't know, the champ just seems broken, yeah.
What was for me very impressive about G2's draft was the fact that Zyra is a very prominent pick right now in the meta. It's one of the stronger picks compared to paired up against the brand. Brand, I think, should be a lot more higher prio, but G2 made Zyra look so weak this game just because they had a lot of range, and Zyra doesn't really have a lot of friends to play with this game, and Brand is just a monster pick because Renekton, Alistar, you can't really find any sort of good engagement. The Brand just brings so much teamfight utility.
Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, if you switched the junglers, like the Zyra would maybe even be good on G2's team, right? Better, because they built such a good comp against the Zyra. They took the Ezreal, Jace, MF, like 3 long-range AD champions. They just completely destroy her when she can't get hit. And Leona ult. Leona is so good against Zyra as well, compared to Alistar, who just doesn't offer anything to that table, yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to bully Zyra, it seemed like. Let's take a look at a couple of clips about the action around the mid lane, how G2 really, with their jungle support synergy, set it up to be a winning lane.
I think it was also quite good what Fnatic was doing here because they are matching this sort of aggression, because in this meta, you have a lot of 3v3s mid, but it just really looks like this is the part of the map where you always get first move with the strat and you always move mid. And right now, from all of the skirmishes that happened before, they get to find this play on mid lane where I think Perks was having opinions on how good this Lucian should go.
This dive just seals the game. I mean, I think it was very hard for Lucian to win his lane, play aggressively, because of how much jungle support presence there was put from G2 in the middle. And I think Cubs did really well in 1-1 as well before the jungle support was there. So I think if Lucian goes even in lane against Ezreal, the game is not going good for you, basically. And G2 made sure that that is the case.
It's interesting also because we were talking so much about champion pools for mid lane in Ready Check, about how Caps, of course, with his experience as playing as an ADC as well, this is like a playground now for him. Humanoid on the other side, it isn't, right? And he's trying to shift it.
I mean, I think Humanoid's best AD champion is Lucian. Like, he was very good at it back on Mad in 2021. but in general, like I don't feel like he is that great at ADCs compared to Caps, who's actually played the role and beat.
And you?
And me, who played the role, right? And Caps, who's won the LEC as ADC. Yeah, I mean, obviously he's gonna shine in this meta.
Yeah, it's true. There's actually only 2 players in Europe that could shine the most in this meta, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, one of them.
Yeah.
One of them on this
Well,
side.
Yeah.
I'm really shining right now, actually.
are.
I love my new position.
It's crazy. Hey, but Ezreal was crazy as well. I just wanted to also see that snipe at the end of the game.
That
but
was
where
personal.
It was personal indeed. Where does that go from here? We knew Caps was doing great, and he was going to do great, so. Oh, man.
It was crazy. This
What do
whole
you do?
combo. It's Caps playground. Again, the pressure is on Humanoid to see what they come up with next game. And now that they chose blue side as well,
This was nuts, by the way. Wait, I just wanted to-
well, he's just playing with everything. It's just Caps feeling
He's
himself.
so OP now.
When he has a champion that has dashes and so much mobility, he can pretty much do whatever he wants because he feels nigh unstoppable at this point in the game. So I'm not sure how the Fnatic is going to adapt on blue side right now because it is going to be a little bit funky because I don't think it was a problem of red side here. It was more how they prioritize. How they prioritize the champions. So it's on Humanoid again.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm great.
Oh, okay. I thought your mic was
Yeah,
acting
it
up.
was unplugged, but it's
Oh,
fine.
okay, it's plugged back in. Amazing. So let's talk a bit about the rest of the series. And it is a best of 5, so there is a lot of room for changing things up for Fnatic. They're going to go to the blue side. They're going to move over there. You also had a few things to say, I think, about kind of like, you know, the Renekton and the fact that the R5 was reserved for the Jhin instead of maybe you can go a different philosophy. Do you think they should?
Yeah, I mean, to me, I'm not a top player, so maybe Odo can speak up, but like blinding Renekton there is just like it's a very hard game for him. He doesn't even win lane in 1-on-1, and Yike was doing his best to cover or to help Jace to get the winning points. And I mean, I don't know why they picked Jhin on last. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. Why don't you get top lane counter pick? I feel like it should be good in the meta.
There's always this bait around top laner, especially now. Whenever there's AP champions in the meta in the jungle, you're like, okay, fine, I'm gonna pick Renekton. Worst case, there's a Nidalee, Zyra, or Brand coming to help me and bail me out at some point. The bailout came, but it wasn't good enough because EV played his lane very, very well, and Yike also covered and got him ahead in the early game. So when you're in a position of power already as the counter pick to the Renekton, there's not much that can save you. So that's why I'm curious with Fnatic going on blue side. How are they going to substitute this issue that they had in the top lane? Because arguably, for the plan that they had, the red side should have fit them a little bit better. And now, it really feels like last game they got a blue side draft on red side. So now I'm really curious. How is this going to look better?
I'm liking the Leona ban. I'm just going to say that because I feel like Leona is the best support in the current meta. People play 380 champs and AP jungler. So she's really, really OP paired with the jungler in skirmishes. She gives you so much freedom on lane because enemy AD has cleanse and you take barrier. So you automatically win lane no matter what because of that. And I would just say that I think people have been undervaluing her a bit maybe. I mean, even though she's picked a lot, I feel like she should be taken 1-2 on red side every single game. And yeah, let's see how it moves from there.
I like this brand ban because he is the most OP jungler in the meta. Yeah. A lot less ADCs banned.
Is it going to be Ezreal first pick? Like, is Fnatic going to take away Ezreal from Caps? Because Caps has shown really high priority. They actually first picked last game, even though Ezreal is not a flex for G2. Like, people think it's a flex, but it's going to go mid. Like, Ezreal is just going to go mid like 99% of the time.
At the same time, I have seen Caps play Zeri, so now the question is, do you want Ezreal or Zeri on your team on mid lane? And I think
and it's a first pick Sejuani.
Well, Seju is though. Seju is OP. It's one of those junglers that really
Seju
wants
is
to
strong,
everything.
and it makes sense because, you know, Oscar is like good at Jax and those kind of champions that...
But dumb question, why, if you guys really love the brand, why wouldn't they then first pick it? Is there too many things to counter against?
I mean, maybe Fnatic just doesn't want to play against the bullshit that G2 gave them last game.
Yeah, okay.
Like with the range champions, and maybe they just want to avoid this. Maybe they think they'll do better in the tank jungle matchup, like they're doing right now, where Razork can actually impact the early game laning phase, which also makes sense. I think Razork is super good at ganking. I think he's the strongest EU jungler, like making a difference in the early game, or at least has been in the last few splits.
When he doesn't dive, you know, when he doesn't tower dive like he did.
Yeah, let's not talk about that. So, I mean, let's see how they counter the Lucian, which is going mid lane as well. Like, this is going to be interesting. I think Caps is showing a lot of dominance in this current meta. I think he's been like great on the AD carries, and people haven't really found a response to him. So, I don't know.
Sejuani also opens up the the avenue of AP mids again, even though I feel like Lucian should be winning against them, but they might be using the scratch, yeah.
Okay, he goes Azir. They're going
back
for
to
the
comfort.
outscaling. Yeah, they're going for the outscaling. Lucian against Azir is Lucian favored early game, but as the time passes and Azir gets some items and levels, I think Azir is really happy in this kind of game. So Fnatic is going for a whole different approach. They're like, screw the last game, screw the early game. We are going for more comfort picks. No on Ezreal, Azir on Humanoid.
It does seem like a blue side draft though, because realistically you cannot get the counter pick top. You're gonna have either losing top or losing bot because of the 5-pick counter pick, which Fnatic didn't use last game, so they didn't have anything. With losing top or losing bot, it does seem like
maybe it isn't.
I mean,
Lucian mid.
no, I think it has to be, no?
Yeah, it has to be.
I mean, just
thinking
Hansama hasn't played Kai'Sa yet this split, and yeah, he hasn't. Yeah, and I think he's in general. Hans and Mikyx are really good at like lane bullies.
Yeah.
The champions them in lane, so I feel like this draft is going a bit more into Fnatic territory, where Noah and June can maybe be fine scaling out of lane and then playing the kind of game. I like this draft way more for Fnatic than I did the last one, and I think they have very high chances of winning already.
Humanoid is on as a key champion. You can make the rhyme maybe after if he can just be like, his Lucian was mid, his Azir was worse. Do I know that from somewhere?
No, you don't.
Okay.
You're just imagining
Never mind.
right now.
I'm imagining things now.
But now I'm curious Fnatic what they're gonna do, because now it looks like they're prepping another blind pick on top. I do wonder if it's gonna be the Renekton. I think it will be again, because at least it makes...
Maybe Jax against double AD carries. I don't know how strong Jax is right now in the lane matchups, but...
It is quite weak, but Oscar really likes this champion. He always had good performances, even though maybe his laning phase was struggling.
Like, I would be annoyed if I was Lucian or Kai'Sa and I had to play against Sejuani and Jax. Like, it just creates so much space for his front line to carry. If he can win lane against whatever is BB ready to counter pick him with, that's basically it. And I think with Sejuani he can do it, or like he can have a strong 2v2 at least.
Yeah, the 2v2 should be winning. Realistically, anything that Fnatic picks on top, any sort of melee bruiser, it will be winning 2v2 top, because Maokai is utility based and he has a lot less damage than what the Zyra had the previous game, so it will be a little bit more difficult to find winning 2v2s for G2 this time around.
Oh.
No, brother Cassante, here he comes.
We were talking about it during the last game as to why they didn't pick it up. Slightly nerfed.
Slightly nerfed.
Slightly nerfed, yeah.
It does make sense. Right now, you tried to match G2 in the early game, the previous game, you failed. Now you're looking for this whole kind of turtle and outscale approach where it makes sense. Cassante doesn't really have a lot of, strong counters.
I like this a lot actually, because they are not over committing on the melees with Sejuani. I feel like actually triple melee comp is like not maybe that good against champions that can hit you for free a lot. I think Bard gives you better laning phase than something like Alistar would. I think you're gonna have more roaming time with Bard, and you can impact the middle matchup now to make sure Humanoid can outscale. Oh!
Wait, which ADC is going where, guys?
Oh, that's a lot of AD carries. That's a lot of AD carries.
God.
It's a lot of
Is it
AD
too
carries.
many or not?
G2 got the memo. I don't think it's too many, because Varus, okay, let's be real, Varus is one of those OP picks where even if you put him top, he's an AD carry, but he can build tank. That's just how broken he is. And he's an amazing matchup versus the Cassante, because I don't really see any sort of win conditions against the Varus here for the Cassante. Maybe there's going to be a lot of 2v2 action on top lane, but realistically, this Varus, if he plays well with the vision control that he can provide for himself, he can secure his own laning phase in the back and scale to be a monster this game.
Okay, fantastic analysis. Completely different approach from the side of Fnatic, who are not yet against the wall with their backs, but they're getting there. Let's see if they can turn the ship around. Take it away, the best dressed casters in the world.
Wow. Best dressed in the world. High praise. Well, I'm blushing. I'm not sure how to follow up on that, but game 2 is here.
You do match your shirt.
Thank you. Thank you. The pinker we get, the stronger we get. Mikyx, I would go straight for you. Hashtag Mikyx diff. Good sign. That's a commitment to Mikyx I think most G2 fans can get behind. Of course, we're getting into our second game. Fnatic, a very different approach to the draft. G2 still a lot of AD carries. They've even added one more to the mix. Jace was not enough of an AD carry. Sometimes he's melee. They really wanted to full commit with the Varus, and we'll see if it pays off for them.
And to add insult to injury, Hansama and Mikyx have chosen to wear the Invictus Gaming skins in bot lane.
Oh, it's personal. So here we are.
What I will say is, are you a master of the Rift? Do you never miss a game? Santander is here to reward you. head over to sandantegaming.com to
Scroll down prompter.
win weekly and monthly rewards like Hex, chests, and skins.
This week's code is Penta50.
Penta 50.
Nice. Good job. So shout out Santander, of course, lovely partner that we have here. But Vedi,
I had a point.
Well, I know you were really eager to talk about the Hex Tech chests. I do want to know what you think about this game of League of Legends.
Yeah, let's talk about the game.
But before that, how's your day going?
So
Let's cut him off one more time.
Fnatic have changed their draft approach by simplifying the draft, right? We've seen this composition a million times. Maybe the Bard, you could argue, like, sure, is a little unconventional, but as Perks highlighted, it makes a lot of sense in the context of the draft. The thing that I think continues to be the hallmark and frustration about G2 is they've taken what they did in game one and they've kind of added another layer, but they've taken the same approach of multiple range champions, a lot of poke at their disposal, just making it obnoxious for you to play the game. And I'm curious to see how this time it works out with a slight variation in the mid lane in particular.
I think the big difference for Fnatic, of course, is they have much more tools to collapse on that potential outrange, that potential, you know, team that wants to backstep. Fnatic are much better equipped to step forward as we see the red buff taken away. That tree is beating down that poor Poro. So Yike off to a positive start, but this time around, at least Fnatic can jump on them if they need to. They've got the Bard, they've got the Sejuani, they've got tools to follow up in a fight.
I mean, I'm convinced this was an LCK game that I saw this in, but Maokai has the ability to do this, just walk up in this matchup specifically. Yike drawing some inspiration from international play as he now takes away all of Razork's bot side camps.
The fact that he has the first strike, though, means it's going to be pretty dangerous on this potential dive here as well.
He's still only level 2, and yeah, the wave isn't big enough. They're going to have to call off the dive. But this now makes it very hard for Razork to impact the bot lane in the early game. It's giving control of G2 to be able to get those early levels and that early push. In the mid lane, Caps is leveraging the strength of Lucian to gain that early push as well. And look at top lane. So we find ourselves in a situation where Fnatic wanted to stabilize the early game a little bit more, and due to some involvement of Yike in terms of his early game pathing, he's been able to give G2 that priority all across the map once again.
And also the fact that he actually forced Razork to completely reset means that BB actually has a timer here to try and play aggressive on this wave, because usually you'd see the enemy jungler coming up here level 3 to try and, you know, push you away. But because Razork was forced back, it means he's not quite hit that level 3 yet, so can't try and punish on this third wave crash. So overall, setting up just super well for G2 to try and play through this. The only criticism I do slightly have is, well, we'll wait and see what happens, is traditionally when we see this first strike coming through on towards the Maokai, it usually means you're going that Liandry's Torment first. I really think having Yike be more of that full tank Maokai is probably more needed here. Just when you have so many damage dealers, just having a body that can block a Sejuani ult, that can try and get in front of Oscarinin, I think is going to be significantly more value than the poke that a Liandry's Torment adds.
We'll see what the angle is for the build path. First strike, at least, in the early game. Not going to be the biggest source of gold income, but a bit of extra damage, at least in that first all-in around the red buff. Razork taking away the crab here. Humanoid returning to mid lane. Top lane, we're going to have to keep our eye on as we go further. Broken Blade, unsurprisingly, able to get the pressure in those early levels. You mentioned it already, but you have the melee synergy with Sejuani, right? We want to see Razork make his way topside, because similar to a lot of these range matchups, if you can just kill this Varus, he cannot play the game anymore. That said, until you do, Oscar can't play the game. So it's a pretty extreme situation either way.
Yeah, especially having this ward in the top rush as well means that even if you try and step up as Oscar to contest this wave, which is now fully frozen by Broken Blade, you're completely screwed. You can't really get in range for experience. BB just gets to keep taking pop shots at you. So Razork has to come up here to break it, or Humanoid, but with Mikyx putting attention now mid lane, even though Humanoid's got some good trades against Caps, Caps still gets to shove out the wave and to prevent Humanoid moving.
I will say that I just like that top laners in Europe are just more willing to take these range matchups. Obviously, Twisted Fate was one of the early initiators to kind of push the tank matchup out and say, no more hand shakes. That's the word I was looking for.
High fives.
I was about to say hand trades.
Yeah. Hand trades, yes.
I was like, that's not right. Yeah, like, Mirwin was the big proponent, right? He was the one in Europe that was a really big advocate. He was the one initially bringing out the Varus. He was also playing Nico top initially and seeing his influence spread, whether it was him directly or just other top laners gaining inspiration. I think it's very difficult to execute though. That's the crucial thing. You guys are already highlighting if it falls behind early, it can be very difficult to bounce back into this game. You are effectively an AD carry isolated on the map. But when it works very well.
And if you look historically at what has been good in the LEC, compositions like Fnatic's have almost always been more successful. They're safer, they're more reliable as you get later in the game. For G2, the pressure is on for them to not only cement an advantage, but to hold on to it. Because you have 3-4 champions, essentially, where if they get hit by any piece of CC, outside of Hansama's cleanse, they will instantly get one shot.
But I think that's because we're seeing an evolution in the way that League of Legends is essentially played, which is much more around, hey, how can I use these waves to get small advantages, whether it's chip damage on turrets, whether it's shifting Jun into mid lane because we don't need him to try and control this bot wave, right? It's trying to move wave states, and that's why long-range AD carries are working out great. And for that, our G2 trying to utilize that now to contest Void Grubs.
The control in mid transitions towards top, Broken Blade as well. There to offer support. Now Yike should be able to get this. Keeping my eyes on the minimap, seeing if Fnatic is in a position whatsoever to contest. It looks like that they are not for the time being. 1-for-1 in Grubs. And it looks like for now, that will be uncontested for Yike. I'm trepidatious just because of the positioning of Razork. And Jun is still in the area. So there you go, Grubs secured.
Razork covering, but behind an XP, Yike first to level 6. Jun finds the angle, massive hitbox on that Cosmic Binding, but not really a whole lot of follow-up here. Again, so much time being spent by both support jungle duos just trying to get control of this mid lane wave.
But even getting control over this bottom side is great for Fnatic, because look at where the wave is for Noah right now. He wants to try and get this crashed and set himself up in a good position. In an isolated 1v1, that's where Noah's most scared, because any W that hits from Hansama, suddenly you shotgun yourself in, Hansama can take the 1v1. So having that control from mid pressure into bot side means you get control of Dragon, but also allowing Noah to be safe in that what is not quite an isolated 1v1.
Caps, though, continues to be a thorn in the side of Humanoid. Just aggressive short trades there. Hot Cocoa from Jun, making sure that Humanoid sits cozy in this lane. Can just try to keep the pressure up. Caps, of course, would need to commit something like the culling to just fully take control of this wave. Similar situation to what he was in as Ezreal in the previous matchup. Now Yike using that ulti. Oscar level 6. We'll see if the Q3 falls away. Oscar immediately going unstoppable and trying to back off. Broken Blade's all now going in. Stacks of Blight popping up in first blood. Huge damage from that Varus. No offensive items other than Doran's Blade. He still hits like a truck.
I mean, the Cassante haters are eating, seeing that champion not move. How rarely have we ever seen a Cassante not move?
All I'm saying is the Cassante haters versus the AD carries in every role haters. Yeah. It's a battle for the haters.
It is, yeah.
Oh, nice ulti coming from Noah to stop the back of Caps. That's going to be frustrating, especially if he does not have a TP.
But Broken Blade now finds himself once again with a 1k gold lead in the top lane. And Oscar just having to pay for the consequences of playing against the G2 top laner.
And I think the big difference, again, we saw from MDK yesterday, right? They tried range top laners. It was mirror win on things like the Nico. It's, can you sustain this advantage? Can you keep this pushing forward? Because right now, yeah, 1K, that's brutal. It is tough to beat Cassante at this point in the game, but if G2 let this slip a little bit, if they make mistakes, Fnatic are in an excellent position this game, unlike in game 1, to kind of turn things around.
I think that's where BB is kind of cemented himself as the best top laner in Europe at the moment, because he's able to play a multitude of different things, and when he gets leads like this, he just doesn't take his foot off the gas pedal, just continuously bullying out these waves. You can even now see him again getting that pressure onto Oscarinin. He's just trying to get at least some vision for himself so he can try and look towards the top tower. Mikyx tries to predict the arcane shift, but doesn't quite get it.
Now, the good news for Fnatic is that ultimately their bot and mid are in a good spot, right? They haven't really lost that many towers in mid or bot. Their objective control is they have one grub and they've gotten themselves first dragon. It's true that Razork hasn't been able to find that many ganks, but ultimately the fact that Cassante is behind in the context of their comp is not the end of the world. He can still offer value even if he's far behind. We know that Cassante is a champion that with one item is enough to kill an AD carry. So Fnatic, even though they find themselves at a deficit, definitely not all doom and gloom just yet.
Struggle, of course, is that when he gets to one item, the AD carry he has to kill right now is Broken Blade. And the Varus still strong in isolation, but perhaps as we get later in, Razork will find more opportunities to fight with the team. Bard, level 6 now, Jun with the Tempered Fate. Can look to make plays, and again, I think we highlight topside. You have an immobile AD carry, you have a Sejuani combo, there's a lot of room to play around top lane, but instead, Tempered Fate going to go onto Yike, not going to connect. Humanoid was ready to fall off. They will finally get the flash, but every single ulti just to cut down that tree, and ultimately Yike will walk away.
Yeah, they desperately wanted him, but not quite able to get the skills to land. And Broken Blade Goes after Oscarinin. Nice W, but the slow is there.
Continuing to walk up. Just more damage. Oscar. I mean, there's just not enough regen to stay in lane. Cannot commit to an all-in either. Will be forced to back. Likely to TP back to the lane, but luckily the wave in a decent state in the sense that he has time if he wants to walk back, but it is Broken Blade stacking the wave in a pretty unfortunate situation.
Now we look at the map and you'll see Hansama looking to push this wave out in bot. Top can be pushed at any point. Maokai resetting on the map, so G2 is arguably in a better position to contest the grubs right now. The positioning of Jun is solid as he knows the Humanoid's in a bit of danger, but he's now going to go back to base. But I think Fnatic can look to try and contest this objective. We see Noah now going back to base. Oh, he's going to cancel it. So
I think he got cancelled by Hansama.
could very well be the W from the Kai'Sa.
And a bit unfortunate, of course, because the ultis they use in the previous exchange will not be up to contest those grubs, which is going to make it that much more difficult. In the previous game, it was 3 for 3, tied on the grub score. Triple AD carry comp, getting a 4 grub buff is a very big problem for Fnatic. Again, they need time. They want to scale. They want items under their belts. And then they can start to get to team fighting and skirmishing. But if G2 get 4 grubs early, as they have now, and continue to win out in their isolated matchups, things are going to get really tough for Fnatic really quickly.
Especially now that you have the static shift completed for Hansama, he's going to have a great amount of push against Noah. It becomes really difficult to try and contest that. You can already see how often Jun has had to come into mid to try and help out Humanoid and keeping control over Cap. So I think this is where the game is going to start to break in favor of G2, and Razork wants to try and break that momentum by showing up on top side.
Again, the setup here goes forward. Nice flash from Broken Blade, but still this should be just about impossible to get away from. 4 stacks, he knows he's dead. Oscar gonna grab that kill. Nice gank on the top side.
Well orchestrated. Even though you get the flash away, you're still in a precarious position, and Fnatic are able to pick up the kill onto Broken Blade. Yike will collect the wave, but still, you just needed something to try and stop that momentum from BB. Should be able to TP back, although looks like Yike going to try and clear out the wave and at least save that TP. So I'm curious what the game plan is for G2 with Broken Blade.
I didn't take your wave, Rob. I didn't take your wave. I helped you save your TP.
Save TP for Dragon. You see? It's like,
yeah. I see.
Yeah.
This is what understanding the game is used for, is gaslighting your teammates. No, I did this for you. I took that 300 gold for you.
I'm sure every player is the, no, you don't understand.
You're just looking at the problem wrong.
No.
I'm not the
Think of it more of a solution rather than a problem.
There you go. Positive growth mindset, really.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Now, Humanoid has, or rather I should say, he's going to be able to get the push in mids, which sets Fnatic up nicely for the Dragon. The TP will come in from Caps, and as you highlighted already, TP available for Broken Blade, but also Oscar. So we're looking at this Dragon. Thanks to Yike. Thank you, Yike. Right now, it's not going to be the primary objectives immediately started off, but you can see both teams posturing around it. I stand corrected. Yike going to start this one off. A little ambitious. I worry Razork doesn't have his ulti just yet.
Good stun to start from Jun. Engage follow-up, though. The Bard very squishy. Jun gonna flash over the wall, but now Noah's waiting. But instantly, Hansama can follow up. That is the power of the Kai'Sa. Noah now retreating. Humanoid has taken down Mikyx in the meantime. It's a bit of a messy, scrappy exchange. It's gonna be support for support at the end of the day.
Yeah, it was a quick engage from G2, but because they couldn't quite lock down Noah,
Humanoid going in, the Q back gonna stop him from shuffling, it looks like. Hansama waiting behind, now caught in the meat grinder. Humanoid gonna go for the pushback. Yike getting lower and lower. Ulti coming in from Razork. In the meantime, good damage onto Hansama. Noah trying to get into the fight, but he's just watching his team fall apart. Caps picking up the double. Q auto, one more. The healing from Bard, not enough. Triple for the Lucian. 14 minutes in.
it was an even fight and Fnatic chose to re-engage. This was the worst case scenario for Fnatic as Caps, of all people, gets himself a triple kill.
Beautiful stuff from G2, able to set that one up. It did look a little bit dicey because you can see a great engage in the beginning from Mikyx. Managed to get the knock up on towards Jun and then also getting that charm. But the follow from Yike the whole way through means that you get to secure the Bard ult. Noah also gets hit then by the follow-up Maokai ult. On the opposite side, Mikyx does die at the top end. And here, I think as you said, Betty, you just call it quits, but they think they have a moment to pick out Yike, who has gone for this Yandri's build. He's not particularly tanky in the Maokai, but the twisted advance here to dodge Razork's ultimate was really well done, and Humanoid, in trying to save himself, kind of just shoved the Kai'Sa onto Razork to say, hey look, now we got Hansama who can try and finish you off as well. So it was a little bit unfortunate for Fnatic, just so many things just going slightly wrong.
Yeah, the fight being divided by Jun, I think, was a good thing initially for Fnatic. But as you rightly said, the re-engage, I just don't understand it because no one can really fight, right? You know, it was so awkward. And look at what G2 do with that. They secure themselves a dragon with the 5 grubs. They immediately turn their attention to the bot side of the map. Of course, Fnatic are cross-mapping on the top side, looking to try and siege onto the tier 2. Doing what they can, and they should be able to secure this objective. I have to correct myself. I thought G2 was ahead on the play, but actually they're reacting to Fnatic, who's able to first secure this objective.
Yeah, I mean, you do have the 5 Void Grubs for G2, so they should be able to match at least in getting this despite being behind on the play. So we'll go tit for tat when it comes to tempo. The question mark for me is what happens with the Rift Herald that's on that top side, because you could try and fall back, but I think Fnatic kind of realized they've gotten enough out of this play. So I think off of resets, G2 then get to swap sides and can play for that Rift Herald on top side into top tower, and that's where I think Fnatic in the long haul might end up losing out on this play.
And G2 so happy to have broken mid lane tower with that as well. Noah going to have a very hard time approaching this wave. Obviously with the ulti, it's so easy for him to get mid prio, but it gets a lot trickier when you don't have that tower to defend you. Hansama continuing to poke with the W, and G2 priority access to the Herald at the very least, on top of the fact that they got 2 towers in that last exchange and the Drake. They have set themselves up for a very good sequence here.
Well, G2's priority should be the tower, and by prioritizing the top tower, you then convert that pressure into the Herald. You can see Caps pushing out that wave, but now the next objective is clearing out this vision, which Fnatic want to contest.
TP from behind.
It's a good
Already
flank.
going in, the Bard ulti not going to connect on anybody. Humanoid going to go with the double pushback. Nice use of the AoE. Clean fight for Fnatic to kick things off. Colin coming in from Caps, but it's only connecting onto Razork. Excellent punish for Fnatic, exactly what they needed.
It's a fantastic flank. They knew exactly what G2 wanted to do, and they were in a position to punish. They secured themselves the Herald, they'll push out top, and they'll get a bunch of much-needed kills.
And as G2 not doing their due diligence with this sort of composition, when you know Fnatic have just been on that top side, you need to sweep out all the wards, but you can see how many of them are even still littered on that top side, one even in the lane itself. Fnatic knew exactly how they wanted to set that up, and that's some great planning ahead to set up that play.
I wonder if G2 expected Fnatic to try and cross-map, that they would instead prioritize the bot side of the map, which is why they walked into the river so confidently. You can see 4 members on top side. Look, the Kaiser's in mid. They didn't expect this ward to come in from behind them, and Fnatic just collapsed beautifully. This choke point limiting the options from G2. And they're just forced to burn flashes and run for their lives.
And also, just Hansama being in mid lane trying to push that out meant that you didn't really get an opportunity to run back up. You see at the end clip of that replay that he just wanders in towards mid to start putting pressure on towards the tier 2 there. But now, Mikyx, we're forced to back away. But Fnatic, with tempo here, this is where it gets dangerous for G2, because when Fnatic are able to choose their fights and choose how they enter, this is where this kind of AD carry-heavy composition starts to fall apart.
It is very easy, if you are on the side of Fnatic, if Broken Blade ever oversteps, to delete the entirety of G2's gold lead with just a couple of abilities. So Broken Blade is powerful, but he hasn't even completed 2 items. Hansama also at 2 items, someone who needs to be tracked. A lot of upfront bursts, a lot of engage potential for Fnatic here. You can see them taking control of the bottom side, looking to even up the tower score. 3-3 here. The gold lead still 3K in favor of G2, still with those strong individuals, but the composition of Fnatic finally starting to get involved in the game.
Yeah, I definitely think that that goal difference at the top is quite deceptive to how the game feels.
Yeah.
If you're a Fnatic player in this position, you press tab and you go, oh, okay, I'm Humanoid, Caps only has a pickaxe over me. It's actually not that bad. I look at jungle, oh, I've actually got 2 completed items. I'm chilling. Okay, I'm definitely behind top, but hang on a minute, am I really? I've got my first item completed, I've got a few more defensive stats, I'll be fine. Maybe I can't just straight up kill him in lane right now, but I think I'll be okay. And then Noah's, okay, he's a little bit behind, but he knows that in a little bit he'll have a second item completed. So Fnatic is pressing tab, and they probably don't feel like that they're at a 3k gold deficit because the itemization is still fairly similar.
Yeah, and especially when you're already gotten 2 tanks in your team as well, like you have to start getting towards, you know, 3rd item where you get to into your LDRs and at least your tank shred for a lot of these AD carries. True. So at the moment your tanks are still going to tank, so you're in a decent position here as Fnatic when you look to these fights, but that's where the pick is coming.
Engage going in, Hansama trying to kick things off, but a Knight's interrupt on the Temper Fate. Sadly, it only buys a bit more time. Humanoid trying to flash to safety, sliding, gliding out to safety. The Q, the full charge coming for Broken Blade, but once again, Humanoid goes golden twice. The ulti though, he's not going to mess it up the timing, but he doesn't have the stacks yet, and the punish is there. Broken Blade down, gold lead deleted in this fight. Now Fnatic hungry for more, but they're not going to find another angle.
BB tried everything, and Human said you still need more. And now the TP in behind them. This is going to be Humanoid trying to see if he can get in. G2 trying to escape, but look at the top side still. Oscarinin pushing in. Fnatic looking to punish the mistakes of G2.
And Razork can just continue to phase tank. They don't have the damage here. Hansama W connecting on the wave. The tower should just fall. Fnatic looking much more comfortable in game 2.
G2 has a very fragile composition. If you overstep, Fnatic have the tools to punish. Great sequence of plays from the entire Fnatic team, from Jun landing a fantastic ultimate to buy time for Humanoid, into then going over the wall, creating enough space. Then he stopwatches, or Zhonya's rather I should say, the Q from Broken Blade, and then the rest of his team is there to body block. Just excellent execution. And Fnatic have bounced back incredibly well as we look back at this play.
Yeah, I mean, you already nailed it, Vedi. Mikyx goes over the wall. They want to try and get the pick because they know in a straight-up 5v5, Fnatic probably wins. So this ultimate from Jun buying enough time. And again, Cap's kind of dashing into the knockback from Humanoid was really unfortunate. And then BB thinks he can try and make the play, but at this stage, I think he just called it a day.
He definitely should have, yeah.
Yeah, it ends up costing him so much. The fact he goes down, and he's so far extended, G2 can't really help out. And again, you've got that front line in Razork who can kind of play chase and allow the rest of Fnatic to catch up. Now, Mikyx spots that the Fnatic are on this top side, but I don't think there's anything really going to come of this. It's just more Fnatic trying to regain vision control back in their top side.
Meanwhile, Humanoid Broken Blade home in the bottom lane, just clearing out side waves. 21 minutes in, triple AD comp versus the composition with an Azir on it. Both teams going to take Baron pretty quickly, honestly, if they're left to their own devices. But G2, the ones with access, G2, the ones with control. Saplings and wards together make it pretty frustrating for Fnatic to approach. Luckily, they've got a Sejuani with Warmogs, so it's not the end of the world.
This TP from Oscarinin.
It's the story of the weekend. You just got to force the Baron, sometimes see what happens. Tempered Fate, good. Delaying the Baron take. Ezreal follow-up, even better. Broken Blade now going to ult Oscarinin, trying to keep this one going, looking to isolate an AD carry, but all of G2 immediately going to flash back. Now the jungler taken out of the pit, but the Baron's not quite low enough, and it's finally going to reset in the end. It's just Oscar risking everything, but Hansama quick to follow up. Killer instinct coming through. Jun now backing away. Noah, good damage on the caps. Not going to mean too much. Humanoid untouched for now. Red and blue buff empowering him. He wants to keep pushing forward. He knows if they eliminate G2 here, if they can find a couple kills, the Baron is theirs, but they just don't have enough left in the tank. They can't afford to step up.
Razork having that Warmogs meant that he was able to get a little bit more healing, so could try and keep that play going. So it will be a kill going to G2, but Fnatic going to be pretty happy that they at least stopped that Baron.
I will say that was an impressive Baron from G2, because I feel like when I saw that Baron force, I was like, oh, G2 lose the game here. Like against Sejuani, Cassante in that sort of situation, I felt like that they were just going to get completely rolled, but they disengaged at just the right time. They were able to isolate a single target. I think Oscar separating the Maokai maybe is kind of where the front line and the engage fell apart, because at this point you're buying so much time. The engage here is really solid from Fnatic, but they can't quite close the gap enough. Azir isn't quite in a position to follow up, and I think that's probably the main reason why it fell apart. Fnatic didn't quite have all their members, and it meant that once the fight became a little spread out, G2 was able to find a pick.
Yeah, I didn't quite catch it in the replay, but Humanoid wasn't with them. He's only just coming out of base. So I wonder if they spotted him resetting an award or what it was, but that seemed to be the go button for G2. But I did get a little nervous. That Baron yoink back, setting up everyone for G2 into the Temper Fate. I was like, oh no. That was where I was like, this is G2's over. But G2 just about able to escape, getting back out onto the map, trying to get control over mid-wave so then they can get their side lanes out to push them out as well. And at least G2 getting that kill will give them some more advantage to get push on these side lanes.
Of course, a decent number of flashes burned in that, though. Caps and Mikyx both down in the flash. Humanoid's about to come off cooldown, something that has to be respected. Razork also giving up his, and Oscar, of course, giving his life in the extended play. Baron clearly the focus for both sides here. G2 still holding on to that gold lead. Fnatic with the Drake advantage. Minute 40 till the next Infernal spawns. How confident are they? Do they want to try something similar here? Don't really have all the vision swept out, and Broken Blade, pretty easy time checking if he wants.
I think it's because Caps is in that bot side. They want to try and see if they can get the TP out. There was no teleport on Oscarinin, who is now moving down to try and collect this wave, but that actually might be the go button for G2 once they spot Oscarinin, because if they're timing his teleport correctly, they should know he doesn't have that available, and Caps can TP into the play if they want to.
Resets instead. They haven't cleared the vision. So we get back to the League of Legends chess classic. They could have skipped the steps, they could have gone for the bold play, but instead they'll just take this opportunity to reset, see if they pick up any items here. Hansama obviously getting closer and closer to 3, AP being a solid choice. Have a decent amount of AD between a triple AD carry team, so might want a bit more magic damage.
Fnatic is very much likely thinking about the Dragon. They've kind of abandoned the bot wave though, which does surprise me when they have double TP. Perhaps they're concerned about G2's ability to contest the mid wave, so they're just overstacking in mid to assure that push. Now they'll gain access into the river as the TP from Caps comes through. His third item being completed means that these mid laners are lethal right now.
Side waves.
That bot wave is just very awkward.
Yeah, and I mean G2 in just a slightly favored state in terms of wave control. If they just keep stalling this out, if we just play this 50-50 game where everyone hangs out in mid lane. Top wave pushing in.
It's Ezreal versus Kai'Sa poke, and right now the Ezreal is definitely winning.
The W's not connecting. Hansama really would have loved one more item here. Noah much more comfortable in 2.5 than Hansama is as he continues to take poke.
And the poke is landing. Look at Mikyx. He's being forced away.
G2 now pulling up to the top side where they have a wave to play around if they want to. Fnatic going in. Counter engage from Yike could be big. Yike getting pulled in. Caps off to the side, doing good damage on Oscarinin. And an excellent lockup. Stops any potential follow-up engage from coming through. Mikyx now forced to retreat here. Humanoid going over the wall, looking to find Hansama. Has to be careful. Magical Journey going in as well. All of them collapse on Hansama. The bottom lane of G2 in the sights of Fnatic. Razork trying to hold the line, keep it 280 carries all to his lonesome. G2 in enemy territory now. Fnatic, I think, just start the Baron here. They're not going to lose themselves to these picks. Jun face checking the brush, just going to stop the recalls. Fnatic a little bit split here. TP going in. They should just finish the Baron, but they know they only need 2 members to do it. So instead, shifting their attention very briefly. G2 caught out in that exchange, and Fnatic grabbing the first Baron at game 2.
Great patience from Fnatic. They leveraged their poke beautifully. They landed it onto Mikyx, and they kind of shepherded G2 into the topside river where they could find a nice pick and convert that into a Baron. Great patient play from Fnatic have now given them a firm lead over this game.
Yeah, also just nice mechanics from Razork at the start of this fight. Keep your eyes on the Sejuani as they go into the actual river. As you get the engage coming through from Yike, Razork ends up jumping backwards, so gets the pull forward on Yike, you'll see it here, and then brings him into the team and then gets the knock up, so Yike is completely separated. Jun then gets the ult onto Mikyx and Broken Blade in the back line, and from that position then, Fnatic are good to start to chase down again, just utilizing the fact they have this strong front line, and G2 has just lost theirs.
I mean, fantastic Temper Fate to back it up, and you can see Mikyx fulfilling a very similar role to what Jun did last game. You are the sole source of engage, and you are not that tanky. Has to get poked out just to try to find the angles. Fnatic now disciplined around this push. Have to be careful about keeping these flanks warded up, and engage from Mikyx could still be lethal, but they're feeling very confident in this game too.
Yeah, and Mikyx didn't have that Warmogs completed yet, which was kind of the sad part. He now has a finish, but it might be too little too late. Fnatic have just taken so much control over this game, and G2 are struggling to get back into it. As Vedi has been saying over and over, this is the downside of a composition like this.
Yeah, the fragility of G2's composition is on full display. The advantage of a Sejuani is how much easier it is to initiate these fights. And it comes back to something you were saying in that by going for an AP Maokai, sure, there are AP damage threats that you can provide, but it's also a very squishy frontline. What is this Sejuani afraid of? Like, Razork has his pick of the litter in terms of how he wants to engage, and he can pick any target, and they can shut them down almost immediately. And he's also got a great team to follow up on. And like, Jun, Bard is not something that we often see from him, but he's making some very impactful ultimates, both defensively and offensively, to follow up from Razork as well.
Yeah, and you're in a situation in this game where so many support options were banned away. Braum, Rel, Nautilus all banned in that second phase. Mikyx takes the Rakan. 4 champions taken off the board. He has to pull something out. And the fact that this Bard is working for Fnatic is big as we head deeper into this series. For now, though, G2 holding onto their base as best they can. Fnatic keeping the pressure on. Caps looking for the isolated 1v1, but Humanoid really hurts. He is not scared of that Lucian, but Caps is damn well scared of that bird. Fnatic continue to siege on the bottom side. Caps forced to back away, likely means the tower will fall here. Tempered Fate not going to connect.
At least it backs them away. And you know it's not a good sign when a 4-0-2 Lucian is running away. Says exactly what position this game is in. Fnatic not quite going to be able to get the bot lane tower, but there's the ultimate on towards Yike that misses, and Yike responds in kind.
Nice body block, good discipline from Fnatic. Only 2 members going to get rooted. Noah off to the side. Will opt to cleanse. I think concerned about the potential Kai'Sa follow-up from Hansama. And now, I mean, it feels like the same. It's game 1, but we swap sides. We've been here. I've seen this one. The difference is, this time around, Fnatic bringing back comfort. You know, we've got the Ezreal for Noah, we've got Azir for Humanoid, an iconic pick, and it has paid off for them. Managed to hold on despite G2's pretty immense early gold lead, and now very firmly in control of this game too.
I mean, credit to Fnatic, they've bounced back very well, and this is exactly what the fans wanted anyway, right? Expectations were obviously very high for G2. I think that no one wanted to see a 3-0, and the fact that Fnatic is stepping up is definitely going to make this series exciting. strong performance from Razork, and I like what Perks mentioned. He is probably one of the best, if not the best, kind of play-making jungler that we have in the league. And credit to him, he's found a lot of great plays this game. He's really been the front runner in terms of making things happen for Fnatic. Now let's see if Fnatic can close things out. I think it should be an easy matter for them.
Well, this is a fun chart. Poke damage is fake. But if you want good damage numbers, play Poke Champions. That's what Yike has taught us here. If you play AP Maokai and throw saplings and brushes, you will top the DPM charts, I guarantee that.
He's getting a few more resistances now. But I feel like it might be too little too late. Of course, he's only level 13, close to level 14. But, I mean, Humanoid's level 18, so, you know.
Yeah. Again, there's a world where if Noah or Humanoid make a mistake, and G2 can very quickly delete one of those carry threats, which would require Fnatic kind of mispositioning, because G2 don't have the best proactive engage tools. There is an angle for them to come back in this game, and they are playing this one out as disciplined as they can, not trying to give anything extra over to the side of Fnatic, especially now that the Baron buff has worn off.
But I think you've already set up for G2 to try and make something happen. Like, look at all the wards that have just been littered down on this bottom side by Mikyx. He just snuck his way past everyone to set those, and that seems to be essentially the game plan to try and get back into this. See if you can get a TP from Broken Blade in behind, set up for some sort of pick using that ultimate. But it's still a hard one because it's still an AD carry who's TPing in onto the back line. So if Fnatic ever sneak it out, yeah, it's a disaster.
And G2 flexing, you know, the options available to both Varus and Kai'Sa in terms of itemization. You've got the Banshee's Veil proc, obviously on a longer cooldown because it's not the full Banshee's Veil, as well as a Seeker's Arm Guard for both Han Sama and Broken Blade. So some pseudo-tanky tools. If, you know, Fnatic overcommit in terms of resources, in terms of ultimates, it does give them at least one fight where they can punish.
Yeah, I do love when my tank says, please don't hit me, please don't hit me, please don't hit me. They're just like invulnerable in the middle of everyone.
Look, I'm not saying it's a perfect solution. I'm just saying, you know, we saw Humanoid earlier, baited a lot of cooldowns with the Zanyas, Broken Blade and Han Sama, I think, hoping to do something similar here with their defensive item choices.
Now, Baron. 18 seconds on the clock, and Fnatic will set their sights on it. Vision already starting to come through from Jun. I imagine he's going to go back to base, replenish control wards, maybe complete a second item. But Fnatic will be obviously expecting some G2 resistance. Mikyx has snuck his way into top lane. Not sure what the play is, though. I guess Han Sama is in range to follow up on a pick.
You know what they say, man. When the going gets tough, the tough hide in bushes and wait for their enemies to make a mistake.
That's one too.
Yeah, yes. That's the one. Art of War, baby. The EU classic. But Mikyx, not sure what bush to hide in.
It's just so many options.
And there are so many options. Also doesn't want to get caught out. There is a Bard and a Tempered Fate and a Magical Journey, which means if he makes a mistake, he will very likely die, despite Rakan's mobility. There's a lot of tension here. G2 really want to contest this, do not want to give away another Baron. You can see the setup here, the diligence that Fnatic have laid down all this vision.
Good control. No potential flank wards either. Not that they're really that scared of.
Oh, Razork going to kick things off. Yike slowed up just a little bit. If they delete the jungler, they can just start this off. No hesitation. Ulti already going in. They go golden. A bit more space. Caps is going to need to step up to protect the jungler. Yike going in anyway, but he'll just give his life. Good pick from Fnatic. Mikyx now laying down some vision in the pit, but it's just desperation games from G2.
I mean, G2 spread themselves too thin. Mikyx top lane, Broken Blade still trying to answer bot lane. They have TPs, but again, it comes back to this, who is Razork afraid of? He can do whatever he wants. He can initiate whenever he likes. Mikyx,
decent engage off the side. Han Sama now going in, but Jun there to body block, there to stop the Kai'Sa from doing much. Caps finding the isolated 1v1, but it's not enough. Han Sama already down. Fnatic staying grouped as 5. Nice retreat here. Ulti denied from Broken Blade. Decent follow-up damage, but he cannot finish off a kill. Noah jumping in. Broken Blade goes golden. How's the timing? Perfect on the Ezreal ult as Noah is now unstoppable. TP coming in to try to save the top tower. Instant pushback on a Caps, and Humanoid just destroys him. Doesn't even hesitate. Last inhibitor in his sight. This is going to be game 2 for Fnatic. Comfort in the draft paying off as they demolish G2.
Fnatic are taking no prisoners in game. G2 gave them the opportunity to bounce back, and Fnatic have grabbed it with both hands.
They have certainly bounced. Mikyx, nowhere safe left for him. Tempered Fate on his own team. Fnatic having a good time. One game, not enough to break them. Not enough to break the mental. Confidence and comfort in game 2, the story for Fnatic. We'll see how they adapt as we get further in the series.
I mean, G2 wanted to I guess, test the limits of what they could do. We talked about how it's a difficult composition to execute, and while it had a strong start, the moment that they started showing some cracks, I mean, Fnatic just kicked the door down, right? They did not hesitate one bit. I love the adaptation. Let's see how things transition as we get ready for Game 3.
Hey, Law.
Yeah?
I need a bit of help with styling since I'm new here, and I was wondering if I could show you a couple of outfits.
Yeah, sure.
Amazing, thank you so much. I'll be right back. I'm a porro snack. Get it?
I don't know, man. No, not really.
I don't know, Law. It's hopeless.
No, it's gonna be fine. Here, let's have a break.
Even the biggest champ needs a break.
Back to the drawing board then, I guess.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Hey, shouldn't you be on stage right now?
Hey, you got a pick.
Tom Kent?
What? I was not expecting this.
And a crazy off-meta pick that secured you the win. How did you come up with it?
I just listened to my gut.